City Club at River Ranch, Acadiana's premier private club. Enjoy a state-of-the-art fitness center, exceptional tennis and pickleball programs, resort-style amenities, and a vibrant social atmosphere. Whether you're pursuing your fitness goals or expanding your social circle, City Club offers an unmatched member experience. Visit cityclubatriverranch.com today. City Club at River Ranch, where lifestyle meets distinction.
When strength matters, go to apfabllp.com. Precision built to last, from heavy-duty aluminum structural welding using TIG, MIG, and stick to custom metal fabrication designed exactly for your project. Need safety inspections, weld analysis, or 24-hour metal repairs? Trust A&P to get the job done. For quality craftsmanship and dependable service, visit apfabllp.com. That's apfabllp.com. A&P Fabrication and Construction. Built strong, built right.
Your Honor, I would like to introduce exhibit number 1.
MeTV is America's #1 classic television network.
There can only be one number 1, me.
MeTV features over 60 of the greatest classic TV series each week.
Go with the winner.
Enjoy dramas, comedies, westerns, sci-fi, and more.
You just watch me.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
MeTV is memorable entertainment television.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KLWB Carencro Lafayette, KLCJ-FM Oak Grove Lake Charles 1041, a Delta Media station.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The Houston Astros had quite the weekend. They swept the Texas Rangers, securing the Lone Star Series for the season and grabbing first place in the American League West in the process. Houston has now won 6 games in a row and sits 58-55, 2.5 games clear of the Texas Rangers. They'll face the Toronto Blue Jays tonight at 7:10 p.m. right after today's Major League Baseball trade deadline. And speaking of the deadline, it was the rich getting richer over the weekend. The Los Angeles Dodgers landed Tigers ace Tarek Skubal for a package that includes 3 prospects. Skubal is the back-to-back reigning Cy Young Award winner in the American League and joins an already loaded first-place Dodgers team. Clubs have until today's 5 o'clock p.m. Central deadline to make moves. LSU got some good news over the weekend on the baseball side of things. Standout high school pitcher Logan Schmidt announced that he will be attending LSU after all. Schmidt was committed to the Tigers but was selected in the MLB draft and was also considering junior college. He joins Jay Johnson's roster for the 2026 season as a left-handed pitcher. The New Orleans Saints began training camp last week and have already lost a couple of expected contributors. After Brian Brzez's knee injury on the first day of camp, the news over the weekend was that wide receiver Jalen Polk has unexpectedly retired from football at age 24. On the PGA Tour, it was Michael Thorbjornsen winning for the first time as he took home the final Rocket Classic in Detroit, Michigan. And it was a sad weekend for the McNeese family as former Cowboys defensive back Levi Wyatt passed away in a car crash. I'm Dawson Angelo, and this has been your 2-minute drill on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Your home for the LSU Tigers and Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. Dawson Iserlo prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the LohDown with D-Lo on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is the LohDown. ESPN 1037 in Lafayette, 1041 in Lake Charles. Anywhere you are, with 2 separate ways you can stream us wherever. That's the ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app, and now live on YouTube each and every day. ESPN_SWLA is the channel, and that is where you can find us. Good stuff here on a Monday edition of the show. We are back here in the studio, the Beal and Bear studio, that is, in Upper Lafayette. And we've got a lot to get to because it's Major League Baseball trade deadline day. So that has dominated some of the news cycle of this morning, although the Saints are still continuing training camp. So we actually have, at least by Monday standards, a pretty guest-heavy lineup. You know, we usually go lighter on Mondays, but for one, we have the return of Jay Walker in his usual time slot, 2:15. The summer break is over in a lot of ways. Of course, we're still a little more than a month away from starting the Raging Cajun football season, but camp is going to get underway. Media day for the Cajuns is actually tomorrow. So there's a lot going on, and we're going to get Jay Walker's opinion. Of course, look, a lot's changed in the administration, and obviously Brian Maggard's moved on as the AD, so a lot to get to with Jay in hour number 2. We'll put him right back in his usual time slot at 2:15. We will have an hour 1 guest, which is not always a guarantee on a Monday, but this Monday in particular, as I mentioned, so much going on, and the New Orleans Saints have started training camp. They are out there. They had a full padded practice today, so there was a chance to see some guys out there, and our friend John Sokoloff's been covering the team since the start of camp. He is down there in New Orleans. He'll give us an update of what camps looked like for the first week or so. He'll do that at 1:30. So John Sokoloff will join us at the bottom of the hour. And then we'll get Jay Walker at 2:15. Other than that, as I mentioned, we'll do a lot of baseball in the segments in between as we try to make sure we don't miss anything big. I'll tell you what, one of my favorite things to do here has been sit on Jeff Passan's Twitter account and just look at these tweets come up and then watch the interaction counts. Passan, of course, one of the biggest reporters in baseball, but there's no day where his Twitter account becomes more popular than trade deadline day, as he's averaging about 1.5 million impressions on each one of these tweets. Really, the ones he tweeted out earlier today and yesterday are closer to 4 or 5 million per. So we've got a bunch of moves to go over. That's how we're going to start the show. It was a massive weekend for the Houston Astros. I mean, you could not have imagined it going any better than it did. They welcomed the Rangers into Daikin Park, and they whooped up on them. Hammered them Friday night, found ways to win on both Saturday and Sunday, took the Lone Star Series for the season, kept the silver boot yet again, and took first place and got over 500, extended the division lead after they took it. I mean, you just couldn't imagine it going any better, right? Now you wonder, can a great weekend like that actually change what these two teams are doing? And it appears for at least one of them, it has changed the way they're doing business. Very intriguing to kind of take a look at how that's gone. And as a matter of fact, as I mentioned before, that's how we're going to start today's show. So without further ado, let's get locked in.
D'Lo is the kind of guy that stays locked in. On what? Well, that depends on the night. But you can guarantee there was some sporting event that he found interesting. It's time to find out what D'Lo was locked in on the LohDown.
So, as I mentioned, would one crazy weekend potentially change the trajectory of what two franchises think is best for them moving forward? That's a question that I think is actually fair to ask at this point, because the Astros entered the weekend trailing the Rangers in the American League West standings and playing host to them, knowing that one win was going to give them the Lone Star Showdown Series win for the year, which, of course, not only gives you the bragging rights, but it also gives you this tiebreaker that is critical when you think about a division race that could come down to the end. And by the Astros winning all 3 games, it sent Texas into a spiral, having now lost 5 in a row. It moved the Astros, propelled them up to first place, now having won 6 games straight and 10 of their last 11. And perhaps it did change the philosophy, because the Texas Rangers have decided since then that it appears that they're selling and not buying. We've got multiple reports in about that. And then, obviously there's also the deals that they're going to make along the same lines. They traded away utility player Josh Smith. LSU fans will remember him. He's been a nice little player for the Texas Rangers, but they have traded him away. They traded him to the Toronto Blue Jays. Evan Grant was the first on the report for that. In addition, there's been conversations that the Rangers might be willing to deal Nathan Eovaldi, maybe even someone like Jacob deGrom. So you just have to wonder, too, and I always ask this type of question. If the Rangers take 2 out of 3 in Houston, or let's say they sweep the series, does this change what you're doing? And in reality, is it ever really a good thing if you're operating as a front office in something as profitable as Major League Baseball, and something that's as serious as this is, right? All the things that are on the line here. If you're making decisions based on how one 3-game weekend goes. Now, you can argue, hey, there's a lot leading up to it in the first place, but I would argue if you were selling before the weekend, you should be selling after it, and if you were buying before the weekend, you should be buying after it. We're talking about 162. It is the ultimate marathon, not a sprint. So how you play in 3 games in late July shouldn't really change what you're trying to do philosophically and fundamentally, but maybe that's the case, and maybe that's what's going on with the Rangers here. Seattle in the AL West is probably the one that's a little bit more nuanced than that. They are, somewhat buying. They acquired Taylor Ward from the Orioles, so they add an outfield piece there. And so you can look at that and say, all right, well, what is Seattle's goal in this situation? There were certainly some conversations about what they were going to do after they traded away Luis Castillo, which was yesterday. They sent him to the White Sox. They did get Sir Anthony Dominguez, who is a big league reliever. They also got outfielder Nolan Jones and catching prospect Boston Smith. Now, the Mariners have had a stacked rotation for a while now, so you could argue they had a little depth to play around with. Maybe they did feel like they could give away Castillo and still get some major league help back in return. But this American League West flipped on its head is the point. Now, the Astros have not made a deal yet. As of 10 minutes ago, when Jeff Passan's last tweet came out, we know that, we'll hear about it from whether it be Jeff Passan or John Morosi or maybe someone like Chandler Rome. It sounds like they're increasingly more confident that they're going to add an outfield bat. We got that report from John Morosi earlier today. But you look at this last month for the Stros, and we posted a blog earlier on the website because Yordan Alvarez was named the Player of the Month in July for the American League. He's unbelievable, right? And he's got a legitimate shot at a Major League Triple Crown. At the same time, you've seen other teams, explode onto the scene. The Boston Red Sox are 23-3 in their last 26 games. I mean, that's something college baseball teams don't have stretches like that throughout an entire season, okay? To have that type of run right now, you take a look at where these two teams were, the Astros and the Red Sox, just a few weeks ago, but certainly a month or two ago. And now for the Red Sox to be sitting 9 games above 500, only 5 back of the Rays in the division. Of course, sitting in a good spot as far as the wild card is concerned. And then the Astros to be 3 games above 500, to be 2.5 ahead of the Rangers, 3 ahead of the Mariners, and fully feeling like they can maybe go into buy mode, which we know is what Jim Crane and company wants to do. There was this report over the weekend that Brian Abreu was going to get traded for Trevor Larnach of the Minnesota Twins, who's an outfielder who's having a good season, hitting like 285. He's got like 10 homers. Like, he's a good player, but he doesn't have a huge track record of being some great player. Brian Abreu has a track record of being a great reliever, and he's had a season that would suggest that he's only been good, right? He hasn't been great this season. He's been okay, and he's been much better in the last 6 weeks. So my first thought would be, no, you wouldn't trade Brian Abreu straight up for Trevor Larnach, but apparently, it sounds like the Astros had a deal in place. Dana Brown, we would imagine, was orchestrating that deal. And Jim Crane, Astros owner, jumped in and said, no thanks. Jim Crane is a hands-on owner. We know that he likes to be involved in these types of things. Jim Crane famously moved on from a GM that won him a World Series in James Click after the 2022 season. Felt like things were just going in a direction he wasn't a fan of. He handpicked Dana Brown to be the successor and to take over this franchise that was competing in and winning ALCSs and going to the World Series pretty regularly. We know that relationship has maybe had its ups and its downs, and maybe more importantly, the results on the field have had their ups and their downs as well. And so when you win, when you go to 7 straight ALCSs and then you miss the playoffs like you do last year, it makes sense that the temperature is going to be raised in the room of the general manager. But I would argue something that's never really going to be super successful long-term, I don't think, is a healthy way to run your organization, is to empower someone to make decisions, hire them, and put them in a very high place of prominency in your organization. And then not only like meddle, that's one thing to have your opinions be known, right? To have healthy conversations throughout the process. For you to nix a potential deal that they felt strongly about, that doesn't sound like a very healthy organizational structure. Now, we might be getting the wrong side of this report. We might not be getting all the facts. Maybe Dana Brown comes out and goes, yeah, no, it was a whole misunderstanding. The deal was this and that, and this is what ended up happening. But it is at least cause for concern in what's already felt like maybe it was heading towards a change being made sooner rather than later in the Astros front office. For now, though, whoever's making the decisions in H-Town has to make one pretty soon, because the Astros have, as of now, my count's got 3 hours and 48 minutes left to make a deal before the 5 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time deadline. So we will wait, and we will see if anything happens before then. Of course, around Major League Baseball, there was another trade that did happen and has been mostly finalized. Of course, you're always waiting on physicals and things of that nature. Sometimes these things can fall apart in the last hour, but as of now, it appears that Tarek Skubal is set to become a member of the evil empire. That's right, the Los Angeles Dodgers. What does it mean for the sport? Is it another indicator of something that's broken, or is it maybe just another reveal of a system that's always had its flaws, and the Dodgers were the first team to fully uncover those? I'll talk about my feelings on the Tarek Skubal trade. I'm fairly conflicted on it. We'll do that after the break as a baseball-centric first half hour of the show rolls on after this. You're listening to the LohDown. It's a Monday edition of the show, ESPN Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
This is the LohDown with D-Lo, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Could not be more excited about this. Of course, you all know by now that Drew Brees is being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this weekend, and myself, RP3, James Mesh, will be there live in Canton, Ohio to witness it all and to bring you content. The big main event is our live 3-hour special, Friday from noon to 3. We're calling it the Gold Standard. It's presented by Beal and Hebert. 3 hours live right there at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, giving you our favorite stories, big-time guests, and all things related to Drew Brees and his Hall of Fame induction. It's coming right here, ESPN 103.7 Lafayette, 104.1 Lake Charles. Again, brought to you by Beal and Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers, and you can listen to it on Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Do you need more of the fellas here on Southwest Louisiana's sports station? Of course you do. So go make sure and subscribe to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles YouTube channel at ESPN_SWLA. Don't forget to turn that bell on so you get notifications for new episodes of Four Tire Change Podcast, where Dawson Iserloh talks all things NASCAR, or Cleats and Sneaks with James Mesh. Get yourself more of Southwest Louisiana's sports station at ESPN_SWLA on YouTube.
Do you know how many tax resolution firms have been forced to close because they were taking advantage of people or have gone out of business? It happens all the time. Hi, this is Kerry Bryson with the Bryson Law Firm. As a matter of fact, there are national tax relief companies that are currently under court orders to cease operations. So if you have IRS issues, do not fall for the threats and scare tactics of the national so-called tax relief companies. The Bryson Law Firm has been doing this for decades. We have a AAA BBB rating, and our entire focus is IRS problems and tax liability issues. An IRS problem is a legal problem. Let the Bryson Law Firm help you get relief the right way. So if you owe back taxes or haven't filed returns in years, it's time to call the Bryson Law Firm and finally resolve your tax issues. Don't put it off any longer. Call the Bryson Law Firm. Our headquarters are in Lafayette, and we have offices statewide. Or visit BrysonLawFirm.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Bryson Law Firm. LSB filing number LA2519684.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Oh, look who's here.
Everybody Loves Raymond is on MeTV.
Who told you that?
Raymond!
America's #1 classic TV network.
Nothing even comes close.
Enjoy 2 back-to-back episodes every weeknight.
We're doing it twice.
Watch Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, it's all about you, Raymond.
Weeknights starting at 8 on MeTV.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
The United States Deputy Sheriff's Association is a national nonprofit and the largest non-governmental provider of services to law enforcement. The USDSA assists city, county, state, and federal agencies with free safety equipment donations and officer survival training, along with cash donations to families of law enforcement officers who perished in the line of duty, a citizen awareness program, and more. For more information on United States Deputy Sheriff's Association, please visit usdeputy.org.
You're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Your home for the best local sports talk in Southwest Louisiana.
Okay, so the big news of the day in a lot of ways is the Tarek Skubal trade. If you haven't heard at this point, Tarek Skubal, who is one of the best pitchers in baseball, he's the back-to-back reigning Cy Young Award winner in the American League. He's been pitching for the Detroit Tigers. There was a lot of off-season chatter, just to give you some full context on this whole situation. If you'll remember, the Astros did not re-sign Framber Valdez. He became a free agent. The Detroit Tigers signed him. But around that same time frame, there was some confusion, and I honestly still think maybe, poor decision-making was a part of this by the Tigers, but we'll find that out later on. We'll see what happens here with Skubal. The Tigers didn't get a new deal done for Skubal, who, objectively a better player than Framber Valdez. Valdez has been really, really good, but Skubal's the two-time Cy Young Award winner, right? Back-to-back. And so a lot of people, myself included, asked the question, well, wait a minute, if the Tigers are willing to spend all this money to bring in Framber Valdez, why were they not willing to give Tarek Skubal a contract extension? And you thought to yourself, he's on the last year of a deal, a player of this magnitude, are you really going to let him go? Now, the Tigers had really significant expectations going into the season. So the thought process was, well, they're going to see what they can do. They're going to try and put together a World Series type run under A.J. Hinch with, this two-headed monster they've got at the top of their rotation, Skubal and Framber Valdez, and a lineup they felt really good about. They've taken some strides. They've been in the conversation in the American League playoffs in recent years, so this will be a run at it, right? Well, they get off to a dreadful start. They've recovered to an extent, but they have not put themselves in the category of, like, let's say the Astros or the Red Sox, right, where those teams have made significant runs, gotten over the hump, gotten above 500, and now sit in a playoff spot as the day currently resides. To make matters worse for the Tigers, what was thought like it could be a pretty weak American League Central this year has now had the surprise team of the season. The Chicago White Sox sit 7 games above 500 and now being put in a buying situation where they're trying to get better, right? The Guardians, not a great team, but they're 1 game above 500. The Twins, not a great team, but they're only 1 game below. So even if Detroit feels good about their chances to get back into the mix here, they've got 3 teams that sit above them in the American League Central standings. Now, they're only 5.5 games out of the division. Like, the season's not over for them, right? But you sit there and go, Tarek Skubal's on an expiring contract. It just appears like they were not going to be able to get an extension done with him. So you don't want to get nothing for that asset, right? That's big league teams. One of their biggest fears is having an asset that they know has some value and thinking to ourselves, if we don't trade him now, we're going to get nothing for him in the offseason. And if we don't go out and win a World Series or make a deep postseason run, we're going to feel like we completely wasted this opportunity. So they make it known Skubal's on the market. You would imagine, or we did imagine, well, everybody's going to want that guy. He's the 2-time reigning Cy Young Award winner. There have been some things about him being maybe a little out of shape this year. He's looked a little pudgier than usual. These question marks, like what's going on there? But the guy's numbers are still outstanding. Now, they're not quite Cy Young of the last 2 years outstanding, and he has had some injury concerns, but still, this guy should command a massive haul on the open market. And then they trade him to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, I got to shout out our guy Chaston Tavares for this one because he called it on last week's show, late in the week, said, just wait for Skubal to go to the Dodgers, and he joked about that months prior to that. So he was all over it, but now it's become a reality. And then, now I'm hesitant to be super critical of prospect trades because the point is, guess what? I know these players aren't in the top 5 of the Dodgers farm system ranking, supposedly, right? Or top 4. But you and I, if you're listening to this and you're being honest with yourself, probably have no idea what these players will ever be. Maybe at best you've read a prospect profile on them on MLB.com, okay? Most of us don't know these players. Now, there's special exceptions, right, where maybe a player went to a college program that you're familiar with, or maybe they're from the area you are. For the most part, we don't know who these guys are until they get up. We're relying on what other people are saying about them. So when there's 30 different front offices, the same way you ask the question, well, wait, how could this guy fall in the NFL draft when most people had him ranked 5th and he goes 12th? Well, the teams that make the selections aren't the people who make the draft boards for everyone else to look at. So maybe the Tigers are in love with all these guys. But the consensus from the outside was that this was a pretty weak haul. You're talking about one of these prospects in this deal being a 27-year-old with an injury history. Kevin Foote had a field day with that one this morning. And you just wonder to yourself, but here's the question that I have, right? It's one thing when the Dodgers have done what they've done with the signings of a player like Shohei Ohtani, okay? And then you sit there and talk about all the deferred money and all that. And now, is there a ripple down effect where you could say, well, these other things that they've been allowed to do have kind of allowed them to stock up the farm system with other players and things of that nature? I'll buy that logic slightly. But as far as the Tarek Skubal trade individually, 28 other teams had just as much of an opportunity to go out and try and get Skubal as the Dodgers did. I don't understand if what people are saying is true about this haul, that it's such a weak haul. And, as I said before, I'm relying on what other people are saying in prospect rankings lists, which are not my favorite things to rely on. Same way when recruiting class rankings come in and I go, all right, well, we'll see what it looks like in the fall. But that's what we have. So if that's the case, the Tigers know just about as much as all of us do how dominant the Dodgers have been. Why would they want to help the Dodgers out? In theory, if they could have gotten anywhere close to the haul from anyone else, wouldn't they not want to contribute to the problem? If they're one of the teams that, of course, maybe it won't be this year, but would love to take the Dodgers down. So if you think the Dodgers are good or bad for baseball, I'm willing to have that conversation, and that's our poll question of the day. But the thing that really doesn't make sense to me is that this isn't really the deal that you should criticize. If you want to talk about the Kyle Tucker signing in the offseason, I'll hear you out on that. If you want to talk about Ohtani signing there a couple off seasons prior to that, sure. The trade situation, though, everyone had a chance to go get Skubal. Why did the Tigers accept this deal? I don't have an answer for you on that. Why are the Dodgers consistently able to, it feels like, give up less than market value for players? I don't get that either. But I think it's a separate conversation. It's one of those things where causation and correlation not always 100% in alignment, right? So it's another reason for us to be mad at them. But I don't think what happened yesterday or 2 days ago, whenever the deal got finalized, I don't think that's the thing that the Dodgers have been doing that's actually wrong or bad for the sport, if that makes sense. So I'm a little bit mixed in that regard on the feeling there of kind of what this is going to end up being. So we're still sitting here waiting for the Astros to potentially do something. I have updated my Twitter feed from both Chandler Rome and Jeff Passan, and I don't have anything for you right now. I do have that the Dodgers went ahead and got another player, because why not, right? They got Chris Bubik in a trade with the Kansas City Royals. Kansas City, a team that certainly was hoping they were going to have a better year. They are sitting in the basement of the AL Central that we just talked about. Bubik is a left-handed reliever who's got an ERA sitting right around 4 this season. Actually, a left-handed starter, I should say, not reliever. He's made 9 starts this season. He's another innings eater for the Dodgers, who have what some are calling potentially the most stacked pitching rotation in the history of baseball. I'll wait till they're actually healthy and can throw some innings to give them that title, but it certainly makes a whole lot of sense. And Bubik is another guy. He had a great season last year. He was an all-star for the first time in his career. He's come back down to earth a little bit, but the Dodgers get more depth in their rotation. So, with all that being said, of course, we'll continue to monitor any future deals that might happen between now and the end of today's show, and our website will have you covered for that later on as well. For now, though, let's take a break. When we return, I want to switch gears. I want to go to the New Orleans Saints. We know they started training camp last week. We know they got dealt a difficult one to swallow when Brian Brzee tore his ACL. That, by the way, was confirmed over the weekend by Kellen Moore and company that it is a torn ACL. He will be having surgery and will miss the entirety of the season. That is a brutal start, but can things get better? Well, at the receiver room, they got a little thinner again in that position room as well, and it was another unexpected move. We'll talk about the unexpected retiring of a Saints receiver, and we'll talk about the beginning of camp as a whole with our friend John Sokoloff from down in New Orleans. He joins us after the break. You're listening to the LohDown.
This is the LohDown with D-Lo, live on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Another really exciting thing going on with our friends over at Small Sliders. We've been telling you about all the latest things they've been having going on, and this one is going to be pretty relevant to what we're doing. Drew Brees, of course, going into the Hall of Fame, and you can get yourself right now a limited edition souvenir cup at Small Sliders. A portion of every cup sold is going to support the Brees Dream Foundation, which is helping make a difference in communities across the country. So the Drew Brees souvenir cups available for a limited time at the Lafayette locations of Small Sliders, both Ambassador Caffrey and Bertrand Drive. Slide through today. Tell them D'Lo sent you. It means a lot. That's Small Sliders of Lafayette.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The Houston Astros had quite the weekend. They swept the Texas Rangers, securing the Lone Star Series for the season and grabbing first place in the American League West in the process. Houston has now won 6 games in a row and sits 58-55, 2.5 games clear of the Texas Rangers. They'll face the Toronto Blue Jays tonight at 7:10 p.m. right after today's Major League Baseball trade deadline. And speaking of the deadline, it was the rich getting richer over the weekend. The Los Angeles Dodgers landed Tigers ace Tarek Skubal for a package that includes 3 prospects. Skubal is the back-to-back reigning Cy Young Award winner in the American League and joins an already loaded first-place Dodgers team. Clubs have until today's 5 p.m. Central deadline to make moves. LSU got some good news over the weekend on the baseball side of things. Standout high school pitcher Logan Schmidt announced that he will be attending LSU after all. Schmidt was committed to the Tigers but was selected in the MLB draft and was also considering junior college. He joins Jay Johnson's roster for the 2026 season as a left-handed pitcher. The New Orleans Saints began training camp last week and have already lost a couple of expected contributors. After Brian Brzez's knee injury on the first day of camp, the news over the weekend was that wide receiver Jalen Polk has unexpectedly retired from football at age 24. On the PGA Tour, it was Michael Thorbjornsen winning for the first time as he took home the final Rocket Classic in Detroit, Michigan. And it was a sad weekend for the McNeese family as former Cowboys defensive back Levi Wyatt passed away in a car crash. I'm Dawson Angelo, and this has been your 2-minute drill on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Your home for the LSU Tigers and Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. Drew Brees set a new standard for quarterback play, and now the Saints legend will be immortalized in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. RP3, D'Lo, and Mesh will be there for this historic occasion with a special 3-hour live broadcast from Canton, Ohio. Tune in Friday, August 7th for the Gold Standard. Presented by Beal and Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers. Right here on ESPN, 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
The heart of Acadiana is its local businesses, the people, families, and companies that help our communities thrive. Here's a message from a proud certified South Louisiana business.
Candyland Cottage is the place to satisfy all your cravings. Find delicious ice creams, fresh fudges, truffles, hot dogs, sausage po' boys, Frito pies, and homemade shakes. Visit us in Scott and Rain for a sweet treat. Plan your next birthday party or field trip at Candyland Cottage.
Shop local, support local. Certified South Louisiana.
Before hitting the road, get hooked up at Match Trailers on Bertrand Drive. Everything you need from truck equipment, accessories, and trailer parts, Match Trailers has it. Match Trailers, 1849 Bertrand Drive in Lafayette, or give Matt a call at 235-7534.
When strength matters, go to apfabllp.com. Precision built to last, from heavy-duty aluminum structural welding using TIG, MIG, and stick to custom metal fabrication designed exactly for your project. Need safety inspections, weld analysis, or 24-hour metal repairs? Trust A&P to get the job done. For quality craftsmanship and dependable service, visit apfabllp.com. That's apfabllp.com. A&P Fabrication and Construction. Built strong, built right.
We are the soldiers of the Louisiana Army National Guard. We are your neighbors. We are your sons and daughters. While we serve part-time, we are learning valuable life and job skills. We are earning money for college, for trade and technical schools, and for certifications. We are proud to serve both our country and our home state. We are your Louisiana Army National Guard.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
MeTV is America's #1 classic entertainment television network. And here's one of the reasons everybody loves MeTV.
Oh, it's a classic.
The great comedy lineup on weeknights.
This will be fun. Come on.
With MASH.
Loaded with snappy comebacks.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I was just funning with Barney.
And Everybody Loves Raymond.
Now we got a show.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
Delta Home Center and Delta Trailer Sales, your one-stop shop for utility and cargo trailers, heavy-duty dump and gooseneck trailers, portable buildings, cabins, decks, porches, fences, carports, and site-built metal shops. Located at Exit 7 in Carencro or at deltatrailersales.com.
Do yourself a favor and download the free ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app, powered by Moss Motors BMW for your Android or Apple devices. Download the app by searching ESPN 1037 Lafayette or ESPN 1041 Lake Charles. It's just that easy to take Southwest Louisiana's sports station with you wherever you go.
We are back here on the LohDown. It is a Monday edition of the show. The Saints have started training camp. That's, of course, some of the buzz that's going on here in early August. So we are going to talk New Orleans Saints here with our friend John Sokoloff, WGNO TV over in New Orleans. But first, John, you happen to be a pretty big Phillies fan. Is this Mike Trout thing, is this dead or is this still a possibility, man?
I think it gets complicated, man, because he's owed so much money. But everyone in Philly, they all want him, obviously, there. I mean, he's from Millville, New Jersey. You know, obviously that's the main thing people have been kind of circling. But when you're owed that much money, and I think he's like pushing 35, that's kind of where it gets complicated. How much would the Angels pay? How much would the Phillies have to pay? And all that good stuff. So I'm not sure. I'm never going to not going to get my hopes up until, you know, something actually materializes, which who knows? I mean, we've seen weirder things in sports than that happen.
That is for sure. All right, man. You know, speaking of weird things, right? The start of Saints camp, it starts with all this excitement, and everybody loves just getting back out there and having the new season. This has been a fun offseason for Saints fans in general. And then you get that sobering hit when Brian Brzee goes down with a knee injury, ACL tear. It's been confirmed since then, so he's done. Just such a tough way when you get all this excitement, right? And then a player who was going to be a really key contributor on this team, right? I don't know if, you know, we'd love if he was going to take a next step and become an elite player, but either way, he was going to be important. What was your reaction to that just tough way to start camp?
Man, it's a brutal blow. It's a brutal blow. One of the most low-key ACL tears I think ever. Like, most of the media people did not even notice it happen, and he just kind of walked off. And you know, I think Nick Underhill, I was talking to him about it, I think he saw it. But other than that, I mean, most people didn't even notice it. It's not like he was on the ground, the car came out, whatever. He just kind of walked off with it, and that was it. It's a crushing blow, man. I mean, Brzee's a game wrecker on the interior of that D-line. He's proved that he's a very valuable piece for this team. And the Saints have recognized his value because in April they picked up his fifth-year option for just under $14 million. So he was supposed to be a big part of this team this year, a big piece. And it stinks for them, man. I mean, just losing depth like that. Football is a game that's won in the trenches. I believe that. I firmly believe it. And Brandon Staley did a great job last year, but now he's dealing with a little bit less depth. Now, Vernon Broughton has been taking a majority of the reps, and he's a guy who had his bad luck last year with injuries. He's healthy now. He's a guy that looks like he's going to get a real shot. But, you know, they got Nathan Shepard. You got maybe Christian Miller steps in from Georgia, their second-round pick. He's been running with the twos a lot. Maybe he gets some more reps. I mean, John Ridgway is obviously still there. So they've got some pieces they can plug in and, you know, maybe replace this by committee or who knows. But looks like Vernon Broughton's getting the first, like, real shot at this. And it's just a tough blow, man. Just a tough blow for this team who, you know, was good defensively last year.
Yeah, that's the other thing that's unique to me about it, John, is just that this team with Staley as the new DC a year ago, you certainly saw some things that they did really well, and you figure, you just hope and assume that's going to take another step in his second year. I've been really skeptical about the defensive back room, specifically the corners. You know, today was the first day with the pads, so right, we're getting a chance to see, and there's some video of Kool-Aid and Chris Olave going at it in practice and things like that. But what's been your impression of where this defensive back room is and how confident the Saints are in what they have?
You're talking about the secondary?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, it's really fascinating, right? Because, like, you lose a guy like Alontae Taylor, and, yeah, like, Sanker's going to play the star. Maybe some other guys will get mixed in there as well. But losing Alontae Taylor, I mean, that's a big piece. And he got paid from the Titans, man. I think, like 3 years, $58 million? I think he's got, like, 40-ish million guaranteed, probably a little north of that. So that's a big hole to fill. And yet they still didn't really address it too hard in the draft or free agency. Now, look, I think with that 8th overall pick, they were taking best player available no matter what the position was and whatever. Obviously, they weren't going to take a quarterback, but they were going to take best player available. And there are reports out there that the Saints would have taken Mansour Delane had he fallen to 8. Now, again, like obviously he did not, and they took Tyson, but I don't think that's an indictment of the secondary. I just think that that's the player they would have liked. But the fact that they didn't really address that position as much shows that, hey, look, they're confident in that secondary. They're confident in Kool-Aid. I mean, you talk to anybody, Justin Reed, Kellen Moore, a lot of people, based on these conversations we have every day, they go out of their way to mention Kool-Aid, to talk about him. So that's a guy that they're going to really need to be their CB1. And Quincy Riley, they've got confidence in him too. I mean, he's going to start for them. You got Julian Blackmon back, and he's with a chip on his shoulder, coming back from the shoulder surgery. Sanker, another year after a promising rookie season. The Saints are showing through their lack of moves in free agency, in the draft, secondary spot, that they're confident with these guys. And letting Alante walk shows that they like these guys. And look, one of the things that sticks out to me about this Saints secondary is definitely the athleticism and the strength that's back there. Kool-Aid is a guy, he plays violent, he plays tough, and they're looking forward to him, continuing to take steps forward in other aspects of his game because, the athleticism with him is there. They just need, Sanker and Quincy Riley to get, more up to speed with everything else. And that's not even an indictment of them. That's more of like any second-year player in this league. So I think the defense has stuck out to me through training camp more than the offense based on what I've seen. Now, look, the D-line is probably the most impressive part, but this secondary has looked strong. They're young, they're athletic, and they've got a lot of confidence in this group, man. So especially when you're coming off a promising season like they had last year defensively, especially with that rookie class, when you go into year 2, I think that just kind of creates this kind of optimism. Hey, all right, like this is working out. Like we're good at what we do. Let's kind of keep it rolling. And I think this team definitely has that mentality.
John Sokoloff is our guest, WGNO TV in New Orleans, joining us to talk Saints here on a Monday. We get the surprising news, Sean, over the weekend that seemingly came out of nowhere. Jalen Polk was acquired by the Saints, a late-round pick swap. It wasn't a significant deal as far as the compensation they gave up, but it was the classic, hey, let's take a flyer on a guy who was a pretty high draft pick, and it just hadn't worked out for him yet, injury and maybe scheme stuff in New England. He's all excited. All the reports were that he was really, doing great things in the offseason, ready for camp. And we get this designation that he's been put on the retirement list and stepping away from football. Did you at all see this coming in any way? I mean, what do you make of this pretty stunning revelation that I don't know, maybe it's not the most significant loss for the Saints roster-wise, but it's certainly surprising if nothing else.
You hit the nail on the head, man. Absolutely stunned. Didn't see it coming at all. We were at practice, and I didn't see him out there. And I was like, oh, where's Jalen? And Kellen said that he was out for personal reasons. I was like, okay, whatever. Guys have that. Cesar Ruiz was out, too. He was having a kid. Who knows what the deal was? I didn't really think much of it. Then I get this notification. The Saints had let us know. And I'm just like, what? So Jalen gets traded here during last season. He has his rookie year with the Pats. Probably didn't go the way he wanted it to. He had the shoulder injury, so he missed all 25. They trade for him. Like you said, they take the flyer. Ever since he's been here, man, Tyler Shuck posts a photo of the two of them. I think they were fishing together or something. I saw them working out together at Tulane. I was hanging out with those guys during that workout. It was Jalen Polk and a bunch of people, but I spoke to him there, for a little while. It seemed like he, was ready for this new opportunity. He was just in San Diego, 2 weeks ago, maybe less, with Tyler and everyone else working out and getting ready for the year. A lot of the time in OTAs and minicamp, he was getting a lot of good reps, man. He was getting some snaps. I thought he was going to have a real chance to make a contribution to this team. So to see this happen, is this the type of move that's like a complete back-breaking move where, if you're the Saints, like, wow, where do we go from here? No. But having said that, like, this was a guy that, like you said, I mean, 2 years ago, he's the 37th overall pick. And he could have had a nice little role with this group. And now, I mean, they have a lot of receivers on this team. I think they got 12 on the roster right now. Obviously, you got Olave, you got Jordan Tyson. I mean, even, the types of Barium Brown, Bryce Lance, you got a ton of receivers out there that can do something for you. But still, I mean, man, it was a complete stunner. And you just hope that, I mean, it's a good move for him, and it's what he really needed to do, which it seems like it was. But I was completely stunned.
What about the rest of that group of pass catchers, John? We know all the excitement around Jordan Tyson as a rookie. They get the Olave extension done, so those two have some security and are probably feeling good about going into the season. If Vele can stay on the field, and then you got all these tight ends, I mean, it's a lot of, none of them are super proven with the exception of maybe Olave, but there's just so much excitement. What do you make of that room right now?
Man, I think that fans should be optimistic, and I think that they're going to use a lot of 2 tight end sets. I think that Oscar Delp, Juwan Johnson, Noah Fant, I think these are all going to be guys who are going to be able to catch a lot of passes. Vele is a guy who last year, if you're a Saints fan, I mean, the guy was finally acclimated, and once he really was, I mean, he had a great last 4 games, and he was a really reliable threat, and he could be a good red zone threat. So between Vele, between Delp, Fant, and obviously Juwan, and then Olave, Tyson, Barium Brown, Bryce Lance, I mean, I just named you 8 guys who are probably, going to have a pretty decent role with this team. So I think you should be optimistic about that room for sure. I mean, this is a group, and maybe even like Bub Means could be a guy that maybe does something. So I think that there's like the star power at the top of it, and then like there's just some very solid depth within this room, and there's a lot of different guys that can hurt a defense. So look, man, the Saints, they've done a good job of putting weapons around their young quarterback that's in the second year of his rookie contract, and this is the time to do it. So that's something that's obviously, encouraging for this team as Shuck enters year 2, because I think this offense, between what they added around him, it's leaps and bounds better from a roster standpoint than it was a year ago.
One thing that's, the way Tyler Shuck handled the offseason, John, he won the offseason, right? Everybody's in love with the guy, no doubt. He's done those things well. I joked with a few people who've asked me about him this offseason, and I've said, well, he's going to be everybody's favorite player until September. At that point, he's either going to become everybody's real favorite player, or we'll see if the opinions change about him. But like, it's hard to imagine going into a season with more momentum, given the fact that wasn't this crazy awesome finish to the season, right? It wasn't like a C.J. Stroud in Houston type rookie season. But can he possibly match the level of excitement and hype going in with his play on the field? What do you make of the assignment for number 6 for the Saints?
Man, there's a couple of things to say about that. I'm very optimistic about him based on not just that he went 5-4 as a starter last year, but how he won those games. I mean, he didn't care about style points. He was going to do whatever, whether or not he was putting his head down and running and scoring those rushing touchdowns against Atlanta or against Tampa, whether it was those multiple times against Carolina, especially the home game against the Panthers where they scored 10 points in those final, 2 minutes and just kind of putting the cape on. He did whatever it took. Now, I do think the second-year quarterback thing in the NFL, it's incredibly hard, especially when you have some expectations, because defenses know you better. And, sometimes these guys let the success go to their head. I don't believe Tyler does that. And I'll tell you why. When we spoke to him the day that Spencer Rattler was announced as the starting quarterback last year, almost a year ago to the day, Tyler had the same inflection, the same tone, and he carried himself the same way as when he, earned the starting job and was winning those games. I felt like I was talking to the same guy. I think that's crucial to stay grounded like that. Now, granted, obviously, when he earned the job, he had more of, what's the word I'm looking for? The sense of urgency definitely grew. And obviously, there was some disappointment after he didn't earn this when he wasn't named the starter when Rattler got it. Having said that, the fact that he was essentially the same guy in terms of how he worked, I think that's huge. I think he has the right mindset, and that proves that to fans. And the way that he won games as well, is another thing like that. But let me tell you, Dawson, I was talking to Peyton Manning about it at the Manning Passing Academy, and during the interview, I asked him about what is something that's kind of under the radar that you like about Tyler Shuck that maybe the fan base might not understand. And he said, continuity is such a big thing in this league, and it's not as common as it should be. The Saints coaching staff is the same. Not only is it the same from last year, but they also got to see some results from all of their work as the year went on. So not only is the continuity there, but the momentum is there. And those two things are going to be crucial for Shuck. So, look, we can't be crowning him the best quarterback in the NFC yet, all right? Like, don't do that. And he would probably be the first to stop you. Like, he knows he has a lot more to prove. And I think that he's going to be in a position to do that, man. I'm excited for him this year in the sense of what he can be, because with Kellen's offense, we've seen Kellen get the most out of quarterbacks in the past, whether that was Dak, Justin Herbert, or Jalen. I think Tyler Shuck is next in that line, and I think the continuity and how he carries himself is something this fan base should be excited about.
Well, before I let you go, John, what's the thing that you're excited to see in the next phase of camp, the next week or so now that the pads are going on? What are you going to be looking for?
Man, that's a great question. I'm excited to see how these linebackers kind of shape out too, because losing DeMario, that's such a massive, massive leader. I'd like to see how Caden Ellis and Pete Werner and those guys all next to each other, how that kind of shapes out. And because I think losing DeMario, you're going to probably have to make some adjustments to this defense, especially those linebackers and whatever. Things will probably change a little bit. So I'm excited to see that, man. I'm excited to see how those guys look for sure.
Well, stay cool out there as best you can, John. Thank you for doing this, man. We'll talk again soon.
Awesome, Dawson. Anytime, man. Hope you have a good one.
That's John Sokoloff, WGNO TV over in New Orleans. He's been out at Saints training camp here in the early stages and giving us some insight and a great nugget there he dropped from what Peyton Manning had to tell him about Tyler Shuck this offseason. All right, we'll go ahead and take a break. We'll finish out hour number 1 on the other side. We'll get you updated on the poll question, and I do have some breaking news out of Major League Baseball. Our guy Chaston Tavares is going to be happy about it, I do believe. That's your tease. We'll tell you about it after the break.
This is the LohDown with D-Lo, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
With storm season having arrived, ESPN 103.7 Lafayette, 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana sports stations, and Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley bring you these hurricane safety tips. Make sure to secure your home and bring in outdoor items before any storm makes landfall. Have an emergency kit stocked with food, water, and medications. Know your evacuation routes beforehand and make sure to listen to local authorities. Have a battery-powered radio, and of course, to go along with it, make sure you have batteries that are fresh and are the right size for your battery-powered radio. Safety is in your hands. These hurricane preparedness tips are powered by Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley. Your local Generac dealer. Visit midsouthpowersolutions.com.
ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Row coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
BB's Auto Sales has been serving Acadiana since 1966. Cleanest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Need financing? No problem. BB's offers easy financing for all credit types, including in-house financing. Plus, they're paying top dollar for your trade. Voted top 3 dealership in Community Choice Awards 2 years in a row. Visit BB's Auto Sales, 2 convenient locations off Johnston Street and in Abbeville. bbsautosales.com. Cleanest cars in Acadiana.
August 15th is the date for the 12th annual Fête du Teche boat procession down the Bayou Teche. The day begins with Mass en Francais with Bishop Desitel at 8 a.m. at St. Leo's Church in Leonville. The boats then depart for a Eucharistic boat procession ending in St. Martinville. Register your boat today or find out more information at fêtedudetech.org or by liking their Facebook page. Don't miss the 12th annual Fête du Teche, Saturday, August 15th.
We are the soldiers of the Louisiana Army National Guard. We are your neighbors. We are your sons and daughters. While we serve part-time, we are learning valuable life and job skills. We are earning money for college, for trade and technical schools, and for certifications. We are proud to serve both our country and our home state. We are your Louisiana Army National Guard.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Your Honor, I would like to introduce exhibit number 1.
MeTV is America's #1 classic television network.
There can only be one number 1, me.
MeTV features over 60 of the greatest classic TV series each week.
Go with the winner.
Enjoy dramas, comedies, westerns, sci-fi, and more.
You just watch me.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
MeTV is memorable entertainment television.
I've been driving trucks for a long time. Safety is my #1 priority. I know that my truck has huge blind spots. That's why I remember to check my mirrors often for smaller vehicles. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. Next time you're behind the wheel, try to avoid lingering in those blind spots. It can be dangerous. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Back to the sports talk you not only want, but need. This is ESPN, 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Alrighty, we've got the breaking news out of Major League Baseball that we'll share with you before the end of the hour. We'll go ahead and get back to that poll question and some more thoughts on that to start hour number 2. But this is what's happening, and I do think our guy Chaston is quite fired up about it. Weekly guest on the LohDown, who happens to be a big Boston Red Sox fan. The Sox are acquiring 3-time All-Star catcher Adley Rutschman in a trade with the Baltimore Orioles. Jeff Passan reporting that of ESPN. This was buzzed about basically all morning, and now it sounds like it's coming to fruition. Adley Rutschman's interesting. Was a super buzzed about prospect, played at Oregon State. I remember him as a college player before he was even a big leaguer, and there was real thoughts of this being like a generational type guy. He was a switch hitter. He had power from both sides of the plate, good defensively, and he's had a really, really good big league career to this point. As we mentioned, 3-time All-Star, finished top 10 in the MVP voting once, has a Silver Slugger to his name, but at the same time, that bat, like it was thought, I think, that he could be a great elite bat. It's not been consistent enough at the big league level. Outside of that one season in 23 when he finished 9th in the MVP voting, he's never had a season where he finished with a batting average higher than 254. The OPS has dipped under 800 each of the last 3 seasons for him. Last year only played in 90 games due to injury. Has kind of bounced back this season, but again, only 8 homers and 47 driven in. The thought that he could be this elite offensive player while also being elite defensively, it's been up and down, right? It's been an up and down stretch for him. Still only 28 years old, though. Has a lot of baseball left in him, you'd think. He has very limited playoff experience, but it is worth noting he's only gone 2 for 20 in his postseason career with the Orioles to this point, so hasn't quite been able to show up in the biggest moments of late. But you do wonder, like, getting him to Boston, is that going to be the perfect place for him? Swinging the bat in Fenway Park, you got to like the dimensions there for somebody like him. He can use that short porch in right, can use the monster in left. Was a first-round pick in 2019, and as I mentioned, like, he was so fun to watch at Oregon State. He was awesome. He was almost some of those really good Oregon State teams that went to Omaha. He is on a 1-year deal, but he's arbitration eligible in 2027, so the Sox are going to have him under club control for this season plus next, although who knows what next season will be with the potential work stoppage. He becomes a full free agent in the year 2028. So not exactly just a rental. Have not gotten word yet on what the prospect package is in return for Rutschman, but he is a Boston Red Sox. So the next big deal has gone down. We are still waiting for anything Astros related as of now. Have not had anything. We'll let you know if something drops before the end of the show. Speaking of the rest of the show, we got 1 hour remaining. We still have Jay Walker, the voice of the Cajuns, joining us at 2:15, and plenty more to talk about. Stay tuned. It's a Monday edition of the LohDown. We're hanging out here. It's ESPN, Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
This is your Chiropractic Expert Minute, brought to you by Dr. Quentin Briscoe, chiropractic physician.
Hello, I'm Dr. Quentin Briscoe. Veterans, are you struggling with chronic back pain, neck issues, or reduced mobility? You're not alone, and you have options. Chiropractic care is part of your VA health benefits, and at Briscoe Chiropractic, we specialize in non-surgical, drug-free solutions to help manage your pain and improve your well-being. We are proud to work with the VA Community Care Network. Let us help you regain your mobility and enjoy the active life you deserve. In addition to the VA Community Care Network, we are also in network with Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and Aetna. We accept motor vehicle accidents and workman's comp cases.
To schedule an appointment with Briscoe Chiropractic, visit drqmb.com or call 337-534-0091. That's drqmb.com or 337-534-0091, because your spine deserves expert care.
Let's try something new, like not overloading your outlets. Up next, from Mr. Electric. You know that power strip and your extension cord? They are not a permanent lifestyle choice. You don't have to be afraid to get rid of them if they're damaged. And keep water far away from electricity. And if something sparks, buzzes, or smells like regret, call a professional. Because saving a few bucks is not worth turning your living room into a campfire. Home electrical safety. It's not shocking, unless you ignore it.
If you would like to learn more, visit MrElectric.com.
You're looking for not only a good electrician, but one you can trust. Here's Sean Doré with Mr. Electric.
Yeah, I love what I do. I love serving our community. It's a pleasure, it really is. Our reviews speak for the passion that I have. You know, we want to do good business. We want to be someone that you can trust to come in to your home.
Call Mr. Electric today or see us on Facebook.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KLWB Carencro Lafayette, KLCJ-FM Oak Grove Lake Charles 1041, a Delta Media station.
This game isn't fun.
This is SportsCenter. I'm Nick DeLuca. Deadline day in Major League Baseball. Flurry of activity ahead of the 6 Eastern deadline. The Red Sox land the top catcher on the market, agreeing to a deal with the Orioles for Adley Rutschman, 3-time All-Star, batting .251 with 8 home runs, 47 RBIs, and a .764 OPS. In 67 games this season, he is under team control through 2027. Boston 23-3 over their last 26. The Padres acquired lefty Robbie Ray from the Giants. Ray has been one of the best pitchers in the majors since June, has a 3.08 ERA and 107 strikeouts this year. San Diego starters own a 4.66 ERA this season, 4th highest in the majors. The Phillies are acquiring 3-time batting champion and 4-time All-Star Luis Arraez, also from the Giants. Arraez having his best offensive season since 2023, hitting an NL best .324 with 4 homers and 43 RBIs, set to be a free agent after the season.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up Tuesday, the 49ers are dealing with another season-ending injury. I'll tell you if losing another wide receiver will impact Brock Purdy this season. It's on Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Dawson Iserlo prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the LohDown with D-Lo on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is the LohDown. It is hour number 2 of 2. ESPN 1037 in Lafayette, 1041 in Lake Charles. Anywhere you are with the ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app, and now streaming on live on YouTube, ESPN_SWLA is where you can find the channel. That is right. We have a video component to the show as well. You can check us out there. Free to watch, as always. And it's kind of the best spot. We archive in a couple different places. You can catch the show. We post it on social media afterwards with links to individual interviews and things of that nature with the audio files. But the full video file that has, obviously, the audio included in it is always up on YouTube immediately after the show is done, because it's streamed live, and then once it's finished, it just stays up there. So you could check that out if you miss any content. As we said, we've got a huge week in store. We are headed to Canton, Ohio, will be flying in on a little bit later this week. We'll be getting a chance to go to the Hall of Fame game with Kenny Pickett playing quarterback. That was announced. That's exciting to some, maybe. Kenny Pickett's going to be the starting quarterback for the Panthers in the Hall of Fame game, but they're facing the Cardinals, by the way. Saints are not playing in the Hall of Fame game this year, despite Drew Brees kind of being the headliner of this class. There were a couple like backlogged schedule things, I think, that caused that, going out to L.A. and stuff. So we get Cardinals, Panthers. Of course, Larry Fitzgerald and Luke Kuechly are two of the other Hall of Fame inductees that will be going into the Hall of Fame this weekend. So that is the matchup on Thursday night. Then we get the ceremony itself on Saturday, but Friday is going to be really cool as well. It's when we're doing our live 3-hour show from the Hall of Fame. You heard it there in our top of the hour Sports Center update. The news of the weekend on the NFL front, obviously it was locally for the Saints. It was the Jalen Polk retirement, but Ricky Pearsall is going to miss the season, it looks like, for the 49ers. That's a tough blow for them. How about this, by the way? The Niners, and there's been a lot of jokes and or like serious concerns about the Niners and their practice facility and everything like that. Of course, the Niners have had such a weird stretch with injuries ravaging them last season. 5 practices in. This is via Underdog NFL. Mike Evans, Deshaun Stribling, Ricky Pearsall, Christian Kirk, Jordan James, Kalen Black, Mikhail Kamara, Keon White, Malik Mustafa, all with reported injuries. And you talk about the idea of, in theory, soft tissue injuries are the ones that are more preventable. I'm not saying each one of these was preventable because I have no idea. I did not medically examine any of these players, but quad, hamstring, knee, calf, rib, adductor, knee, adductor, hamstring. A lot of those injuries are the ones that you feel like in general are a little bit more preventable. Quad strains, hamstring strains. But it's been a brutal start for the San Francisco 49ers. So if you're a Saints fan and you're bummed out about the Brian Brzee injury and the Jalen Polk retirement, you could always be the 49ers. I guess that's the moral of the story today. Big picture, though, like we have some time here in the rest of this segment. We are going to welcome Jay Walker on the show a little less than 10 minutes. But like looking at some of the camp reports, our guy James Mesh, by the way, was out at Saints camp this morning. I look forward to hearing from him tomorrow. He'll be back. And so we'll get a chance to hear and see what he saw. He did mess with me a little bit about my guy Zach Wilson, who was out on the offense so far today. But like some of the reports we've gotten from people who are out at camp today, it sounds like it was Tyler Shuck's best practice. Nick Underhill chimed in on that, tweeted out, quote, Shuck's best day so far, some chemistry brewing. Sounds like Barryon Brown, by the way, had a pretty nice day. Of course, the LSU receiver who the Saints brought in, who now could be one of the main beneficiaries of Jalen Polk stepping aside. There's a wide receiver 4 spot up for grabs now, for sure, right? We assume if everyone's healthy, Olave, Jordan Tyson, Devon Vele are going to be your top 3 options at receiver. That wide receiver 4 spot, a lot of people had Polk penciled in just because it was a name and, and we had at least seen him play in the NFL a little bit, some experience, whatever. When you talk about Barryon Brown, when you talk about some of the other, remember, they brought in, the brother of Trey Lance, Bryce Lance, who has some excitement and some things brewing around him. Is anyone in firm position to step into that spot? Mason Tipton's had some camps where he's been glowed about, but he's never really put it together fully. And then there's a ton of camp bodies who are going to be competing for that spot as well. What does that wide receiver 4 position look like in making the roster? Other things that we saw today, I got to see some video of Chris Olave and Kool-Aid McKinstry going at it in practice. I don't mean like going at it fighting-wise. I mean like one playing receiver, one playing defensive back. I want to clarify there. Looked a little grabby from Kool-Aid, in my opinion, right? I was like, hey, I know they're not calling pass interference in practice one-on-ones, but I'd be worried that might get called. I'm a big Kool-Aid McKinstry doubter, and I know that's doesn't sit right with everybody. I don't want to be. I hope he's awesome. I really do. It's just I remember watching him in his college career thinking this guy's going to be a great safety or nickel in the NFL. I never thought that's what a number 1 corner will look like. And so I'm still of the opinion that he's playing a little out of position. Brandon Staley knows a lot more about football than I do, so maybe they're going to have this thing figured out. But that was my main concern, and I don't know if any of that's changed. The other thing that's happened since I was last here in studio, we had the Best Of show on Friday, so it was a little bit of a unique day. We didn't get a chance to really talk about it. The Olave extension is done. I like where the contract landed. I was concerned that Chris Olave was going to get paid like a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL because it's just usually not about who's the best. It's about who's next when it comes to who gets the highest contracts in the NFL. And he was next, so I was concerned that he was going to get paid with an average annual value that was going to put him in the same tier as a Justin Jefferson. Jordan Jefferson, different player. Related, though. He did not get paid the same level of like a JJ. Okay, he got paid, as of now, 6th highest in average annual value amongst receiver. Now, do I think he's the 6th best receiver in the league? I think that'd be a stretch. I think he's probably closer to 10 or 12. But the point is, he was up for his contract, but they didn't have to splurge to the point where they got over that. Now, they did do a very Saints-like move where the base salary is going to start at one number and it's going to increase as time goes on. It starts at $13 million next year, then it's $23 million in 28, it's $27 million in 29, it's almost $30 million in 2030. That's fine, though. They are creative when it comes to their accounting. They will figure it out. The percentage of the cap also goes up, but he's only going to account for 9% of the cap in 2028, which is like the median year of this thing, right? So I'm okay with it. Now, nearly 90 or just a little over 90 million of it's guaranteed at 124. That's a high number, but that's just kind of the going rate right now. Like, they gave him a deal that I think is on par with what he was worth in an open market. And so it's good for Olave, but it's also good for the Saints. The biggest fear for me is that 90 million of it is guaranteed regardless, okay? If he has a significant injury early on in this contract, which we know the fear about Olave is not that he's going to miss time because he tweaks his hamstring over and over again, right? The way some players, you have that fear. Look at a guy like Ricky Pearsall, who's had, Pearsall's got a longer list. He's had some crazy bad luck mixed in with some maybe injury-prone tendencies. If at some point in this deal, Chris Olave has to step away from the game because he suffers another concussion or something like that, that's where you go, all right, well, what are they going to be losing at that point? And now it's locked in, as opposed to it being it is what it is. He can't play anymore. That's unfortunate, but we don't have the money tied to it. The Saints would be tied to a lot of that money now. And so let's hope that never even comes close to happening. I think that's where we're at this point, but it's no doubt. And it was talked about that somehow should have probably been factored into the deal itself, right? So I was a little bit, surprised at the number, just given that we understand that he's got probably a little bit higher of an injury concern than most players do, right? You've got 52.6, by the way, guaranteed at signing for Olave when that counts the signing bonus, this year's salary, and next year's salary. 24 million of it in 2028 becomes fully guaranteed in March of 2027, and 13 million of it in 2029 becomes fully guaranteed in March of 2028. But regardless, if this guy can stay on the field throughout that time frame, I think you'll be fully okay with paying him the amount you're paying him year in and year out. It's simply going to be about the injury concerns and keeping him out on the field. This is not one of those deals where you're signing him with the hopes that he develops into the player that you're signing him to be, right? And sometimes teams do that a little ahead of the curve, and they kind of take a chance on the player developing. One of my favorite examples of this is in Major League Baseball. The Astros signed a pretty unique deal at the time. It hadn't been done a whole lot with Jonathan Singleton that basically took care of his team control years and then added on a couple and paid him at a rate that kind of factored those in. And it gave them, it was a 5-year extension. By the way, this was like 12, 15 years ago, so I'm trying to remember it exactly how it was. It was like a 5-year extension, but only 2 of those years were free agent years. It basically gave John Singleton a lot of security as a player, and it gave the Astros the opportunity where if this guy turns into the player we think he might be, we're actually going to get him at a discount. Now, it worked out better for Singleton probably than it did for the Astros because he didn't have a great career, but they weren't on the hook for some massive, huge number that extended him way past his free agent eligible years. The NFL is a little different because the free agency rules work a little different, but all in all, they're not projecting out who they think he is. The Saints paid Chris Olave an amount that I think they are comfortable with, given the player he's been already in his NFL career. And now you click your heels together and you hope he stays healthy and certainly doesn't get hit in the head or anywhere in the upper body. All right, we'll take a timeout now. As I mentioned before, when we return, Jay Walker returns to the show. We've had a few weeks away from Jay. Jay's had an off season to get some things in order, and we're back to talk Cajuns with him after this. It is the LohDown, ESPN Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
This is the LohDown with D-Lo, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Could not be more excited to continue to tell you that we're going to be in Canton, Ohio later this week. Myself, RP3, James Mesh, with a live 3-hour special, The Gold Standard. It's presented by Beal and Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers, as we talk about Drew Brees, his legacy. He's going into the Hall of Fame this weekend. We're going to be there to celebrate it, and we're going to bring you a 3-hour special live from the Hall of Fame. Also, by the way, as a result of this, those of you who love Kevin Foote, you get an extra hour of Foote. He'll lead us all the way into the noon special. We're going from noon to 3. So footnotes with an extra hour. He'll go from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. The Gold Standard 3-hour special with myself, RP3, and James Mesh goes from noon to 3. It's right here on ESPN, Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
Make sure to set your alarm and tune in Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock for Sports Shorts here on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Join me, Ronnie Rance, and the Sports Shorts team of Tommy Christsan, Hunter McCann, and the crazy man, Joel Davis, as we break down the sports and teams that you love. The LSU Tigers, New Orleans Saints, and everything in between. Tune in Saturday mornings from 10 to noon for Sports Shorts here on Southwest Louisiana's Sports Station.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices. To learn more, visit govote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
Oh, look who's here. Everybody Loves Raymond is on MeTV. Who told you that? Raymond! America's #1 classic TV network.
Nothing even comes close.
Enjoy 2 back-to-back episodes every weeknight.
We're doing it twice.
Watch Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, it's all about you, Raymond.
Weeknights starting at 8 on MeTV.
Watch Meet TV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
What is dementia? Is it the same as Alzheimer's? What is vascular dementia, Lewy body, FTD, TBI, and CTE? If someone has memory loss, does that mean they have dementia? Millions of Americans ask these questions every day. I did too, and I learned. My wife Ginny developed dementia. I didn't know what to do or what was coming next. I'm Kevin Jameson, volunteer and president of the Dementia Society of America. I'm excited to offer you a free guide to understanding dementia. It's filled with facts about dementia, care planning, how doctors can help, and ways to keep your brain as healthy as possible. The Dementia Society of America is a national nonprofit, and we're ready to answer your questions. You want to live life to the fullest. I know that. Ginny did too, and I'm confident that we can help. Get your copy of the guide. Go to 1-800-DEMENTIA.org or call 1-800-DEMENTIA. Thank you.
Man, I loved playing high school sports growing up. And it's fun being a fan now, don't get me wrong, but sitting in the stands feels like I'm missing out on all the action, you know? I wanted to get back in the game, so I signed up to be a high school official. It takes me back to my playing days. I'm supporting students, and I get paid to make the big calls. Do you want to see the game up close? Sign up to become an official in Louisiana at highschoolofficials.com.
You're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, your home for the best local sports talk in Southwest Louisiana.
The calendar has turned to August. That means it is the month of football. We have week 0 college football action before August concludes. We have fall camps getting going quite soon everywhere. And it meant it was time to welcome back our friend Jay Walker to the program, the voice of the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, who is kind enough to join us on Mondays at 2:15 from now until who knows when, the foreseeable future. Jay, good to have you back. How are you?
I'm doing well. I don't want anybody to think that we just decided to split up for a few weeks. I mean, you had Sunbelt Media Days, and then you had SEC Media Days, and then you had like 5 weeks of vacation. So, I'm just saying.
That is true. We had a lot going on, but we're here and we're back. And you know what? A little bit's changed since the last time we talked. Isn't that right? The Cajuns have a new athletic director. Well, they don't have a new athletic director, but they don't have their old athletic director. They have an interim AD. Dr. Maggard moves on. And, you and I knowing what we do about Dr. Maggard, and obviously a lot of this is public now as well. He's got a whole lot going on in his personal life at this time that's very exciting for him. So this maybe was probably less surprising to us than it was to some others, Jay, but what did you make of the news? And, I want to get to what you wrote about him in a minute. But first off, what was your reaction to the news initially?
My reaction was immediate. I was so happy for him and for Carrie. When, they've got so much going on right now with Aubrey, the eldest daughter, having their first grandchild, and Kaylin, the youngest daughter, having gotten married, and they're both going to be in the Kansas City area. And then for him to have this opportunity, get to go home and be near the family and the grandchild, and hopefully many grandchildren to come, I just couldn't be happier for them. That was my first reaction. It wasn't, oh gosh, we're going to miss him. It wasn't whatever. I was just really happy for him and his wife, and nothing's changed in that regard. I'm still extremely happy for them.
You wrote a piece, and it's up on the Cajuns website, and it actually, I think, was excellently done because it was exactly what people don't know, and I learned a whole lot in it as well, giving some of the context and some of the background around what was a really difficult time for not only the Cajuns, but for Dr. Maggard himself. And, what you're going to remember, I imagine, most about his tenure is some of those stretches where things were pretty bad around. And there were just, the hits kept coming for the Cajuns athletic program, people who passed away, obviously financial times, all these different things. What allowed you to, I imagine it was pretty cool for you to relive some of those moments, but also probably pretty tough to rethink about them as you put that piece together.
Yeah, I think both of those things are true. A few days went by after, the announcement was made, and I was just kind of thinking, and then I went back and I said, they had a 7-month patch that was really, really tough, and it started with the tragedy involving Jerry Glasgow with his daughter and that horrible accident, and then ended with Tony passing away in July. And then, of course, Carrie being diagnosed with breast cancer at the end of the year. We all, I think if you're just a fan of the Cajuns, there's a good chance that you went through some emotional stuff, especially with Roe, but really the whole thing in general, because Lynn Williams passed away during that time also, and a few other people. Leadership comes in many different situations. Brian Maggard's leadership during the calendar year 2019, and I didn't include DJ Looney passing away, and that was the anniversary of his death was yesterday, because it didn't happen in 2019, but it happened just 8 months after Carrie's diagnosis. You've got to be able to face the public. You've got to be able to face the people that work under you, and you have to show an incredible leadership. And the thing that people don't understand is you got to go through your own personal grief as well. And I remember asking Brian as the 2019 football season was about to start, I said, Brian, have you taken time to grieve? Because he's at the end of the day, he's a man, and he knew all of these people and knew them all well. And he had to push his own personal stuff aside so he could be the voice of the athletic department during that terrible time. So, eventually he did. But, man, I'll tell you, I don't know a lot of people who could have gone through that as an administrator and handled it any better than Brian Maggard handled 2019.
Incredibly well said. And I do encourage anyone who hasn't seen it, as I mentioned, I think RagingCajuns.com is the easiest place to find what Jay wrote there. It is an interesting time, Jay, for this athletic department in a whole. I mean, you joked about vacation when we started. It's no secret that there's a lot of empty offices right now on campus, and it's not just Dr. Maggard's. There's a lot of people who have moved on into different roles, and we know we've done the whole, hey, college athletics is evolving thing. Whoever gets this job becomes the next athletic director at UL is going to have a unique opportunity in that they're going to probably make a lot of hires below them, and they're going to be able to, maybe in some ways pick who they bring in and things of that nature. It's just really interesting, and you wonder if you're of the mindset that after a while you want some fresh ideas in a building. There are going to be fresh ideas in that building because there's just not a whole lot of people in the previous administration that are going to be in any sort of similar role. What do you make of that opportunity that the school has right now?
Well, I think it's going to be it's going to be a thing, okay? And I have no idea what kind of a thing it's going to be. I can tell you that based on the announcements that were made, I wouldn't hold my breath waiting for an announcement of a new athletic director anytime soon. Trey Frazier is the interim athletic director. And one thing I can tell you is the athletic department is not going to simply just freeze in place. It's going to move forward. It's going to do different things. Some of these vacancies are going to be filled, and because they have to be. If you're going to put on a football season, they're going to have to be. And so, Trey will go ahead, and it's not a situation where he's got a bracelet that says, what would Maggard do? Okay. I mean, he's going to be his own man. He's going to make his own decisions. He's not going to be able to make long-term decisions because he's the interim, and he may apply for the permanent job. And Dr. Kolaroo may, after a period of time, say, look, I like what this guy's doing. I think I'm just going to go ahead and make him the full-time guy. I don't know what's going to happen, and I certainly can't speak for Dr. Kolaroo because I still haven't met him, and I don't know very much about him. I remember the last time that we had an interim. It happened to be Dr. Jessica Leger after Scott Farmer left. And, she had to move forward and finish and make some decisions about Russo Park to get that done and to get it ready for the 2017 season. He may be, quote, a caretaker. At the end of the day, that's what he may have been. But this athletic department's got to keep going. And as I said, I wouldn't hold my breath on this one. Maybe it'll happen in the next 60 days. Personally, I don't think it will. And in the meantime, this athletic department still has to move forward. So we'll see what kind of ideas that Trey has, and we'll see how he's able to get some of that stuff done. But what are we going to have going forward? Well, it's going to depend on who they name. But I do know that, here in this building, we're not just going to sit and twiddle our thumbs and wait for something to happen.
I will ask a question that's probably a difficult one to answer, Jay. I don't know if you'll have an answer ready for me, but it's the off season, so I know you've had more time to sit and think about things, and I know you enjoy thinking about stuff, Jay. You know a lot about this athletic department, and you know as much as you do about what's going on in the world of sports as well. regardless of who it's going to be, I'm not asking for your candidate list here, but what is going to be of the utmost importance for whoever comes into this role? What matters the most, in your opinion, right now when it comes to Raging Cajuns athletics?
Well, I think it's going to have to be somebody who can make. I don't want to say he's got to win the press conference. I'm not, because I don't. That's not what I mean. But I do mean it's going to have to be someone who's going to have to reinstill confidence in Cajuns athletics, not only here in the building, but also in the community. Because, with the stories that have come out, and honestly, some of them are kind of one-sided, but with the stories that have come out about the plight of UL athletics financially, this is a tough time right now, for the Lafayette area, for Acadiana, for people who are potential sponsors of this program, for people who have been sponsors of this program for a long time. There's been an awful lot of bad pub out there. And the first thing that the new athletic director is going to have to do is reinstill confidence in the Acadiana area in this football program. He's also going to have to do as much with a lot less. I don't know what the athletic budget is. Nobody has told me, but I guarantee you it's not what it's been for the last few years. So and the fan base isn't going to expect quality of service to go down, even though the budget may be an awful lot less. They're still going to demand various things. So it's not, whoever gets this job, it's not going to be for the faint of heart. I can tell you that. But I think the first thing, and I think that's what you asked, first thing is to reinstate or reinstill confidence in the Acadiana area that, hey, everything's going to be fine.
I think it's incredibly well said. Part of me wants to end it right there because I thought it was a pretty fitting way to conclude the conversation. But I do at least have to ask you if you're officially ready for football, Jay, because I woke up this morning and kind of decided mentally that I'm all the way there.
I will be tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be the media day here in the building where I work, and they're going to have some student athletes here, and Coach Des, the coordinators, are going to speak. I think that's when the juice is going to kick in for me. Usually it happens right around media day, but I didn't get to attend media day this year. So I think by tomorrow I've already said now it's time to go to work, because of course I got a new boss starting today. And Patrick Judice, who is the new general manager of Raging Cajun Sports Properties. So, it's time to go to work, but I'll feel it's football season when I see all of these folks here in the building tomorrow.
Well, I look forward to talking with you next week about what your reaction is to getting to hear them talk and inching a little bit closer towards the season. Jay, thank you for doing this, and let's roll. It's getting close.
Yes, it is. Thanks for having me. Go Cajuns.
That's Jay Walker, the voice of the Raging Cajuns, with us from here on out every Monday in his normal time slot. He is returning to that time slot, 2:15 on Mondays, of course, give or take a few times where scheduling becomes an issue. But usually you can hear him in the same time each and every week on this show. All right, we'll go ahead and take a break now. We went a little bit long there, but that is okay. We'll get back on schedule and we'll check in. There's a couple other deals I've been trying to keep track of it. I'll use this commercial break to get fully caught up on if we've had anything else go on at the Major League Baseball trade deadline. We'll reset with that and more after this.
This is the LohDown with D-Lo, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit B1Bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The Houston Astros had quite the weekend. They swept the Texas Rangers, securing a Lone Star Series for the season and grabbing first place in the American League West in the process. Houston has now won 6 games in a row and sits 58-55, 2.5 games clear of the Texas Rangers. They'll face the Toronto Blue Jays tonight at 7:10 p.m. right after today's Major League Baseball trade deadline. And speaking of the deadline, it was the rich getting richer over the weekend. The Los Angeles Dodgers landed Tigers ace Tarek Skubal for a package that includes 3 prospects. Skubal is the back-to-back reigning Cy Young Award winner in the American League and joins an already loaded first-place Dodgers team. Clubs have until today's 5 o'clock p.m. Central deadline to make moves. LSU got some good news over the weekend on the baseball side of things. Standout high school pitcher Logan Schmidt announced that he will be attending LSU after all. Schmidt was committed to the Tigers but was selected in the MLB draft and was also considering junior college. He joins Jay Johnson's roster for the 2026 season as a left-handed pitcher. The New Orleans Saints began training camp last week and have already lost a couple of expected contributors. After Brian Brzez's knee injury on the first day of camp, the news over the weekend was that wide receiver Jalen Polk has unexpectedly retired from football at age 24. On the PGA Tour, it was Michael Thorbjornsen winning for the first time as he took home the final Rocket Classic in Detroit, Michigan. And it was a sad weekend for the McNeese family as former Cowboys defensive back Levi Wyatt passed away in a car crash. I'm Dawson Angelo, and this has been your 2-minute drill on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Your home for the LSU Tigers and Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. Drew Brees set a new standard for quarterback play, and now the Saints legend will be immortalized in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. RP3, D'Lo, and Mesh will be there for this historic occasion with a special 3-hour live broadcast from Canton, Ohio. Tune in Friday, August 7th for the Gold Standard. Presented by Beal & Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers. Right here on ESPN, 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
The best businesses aren't just businesses, they're neighbors. Here's a message from a proud certified South Louisiana business.
Bro Bridge Truck Stop Casino. They have the newest games around. Hot seat drawings and monthly specials like no one else. Located on the Bro Bridge Highway and on the banks of the Vermilion River. Come out today and try your luck at the Bro Bridge Truck Stop Casino.
When you support local businesses, you strengthen the communities we call home. Shop local, support local, certified South Louisiana.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices. To learn more, visit govote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
MeTV is America's #1 classic entertainment television network. And here's one of the reasons everybody loves MeTV.
Oh, it's a classic.
The great comedy lineup on weeknights.
This will be fun. Come on.
With MASH.
Loaded with snappy comebacks.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I was just funning with Barney.
And Everybody Loves Raymond.
Now we got a show.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
Attention, this is a public notice from Citizens Disability. If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be eligible for disability benefits from Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right if you suffer from physical and mental disability. Whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, Citizens Disability can help. You'll be given an advocate who will evaluate your situation, handle your application, and deal with Social Security. Best of all, there's no fee until you receive your benefits. We only get paid if you win your case. There are a number of conditions that can make you eligible for disability benefits, many of them you may not be aware of. So if you're disabled and unable to work, call Citizens Disability today to get started with your free, no-obligation consultation. 800-431-9667. 800-431-9667. 800-431-9667. That's 800-431-9667.
The biggest headlines in the world of sports are discussed here. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Okay. Let's just doing another little double checking here at the end. Make sure we're not missing anything. Major League Baseball trade deadline approaching. The Houston Astros still not doing anything, but it does sound like we kind of have a big lead. And I mean lead as in intel, not lead as in scoring more than the other team, on where they might be headed. It seems like this Trevor Larnach thing is going to come back into play. If you missed it earlier, the Astros supposedly had a deal for Trevor Larnach almost in place. He's an outfielder with the Twins. He's a good player. He's never had like a massive season in the MLB. This year's been his best. He's a 29-year-old. He's sitting in the high 280s right now. He's just been really productive this year. But last year, he had 250, only drove in 60 runs. So like he had an okay but not great season. He's been better this year. So supposedly the Astros had a deal for him. By the way, he's never surpassed 1.4 wins above replacement in a single season. He's at 1.6 for this year. And, of course, the year's not done yet. So it's been by far the best year of his MLB career. They had a deal in place for him that supposedly included Brian Abreu, one of their back-end stopper relievers, and then they backed out. There was reports, too. I don't know if this has been confirmed, but there were reports that Jim Crane's the one who pulled the wool or pulled the tablecloth from underneath the table there when they told him that Abreu was part of the deal. Well, maybe not ever find out if that's actually what happened, but regardless, trade talk stalled after that. So supposedly the Astros are still in on him, and it sounds like some people around the team are pretty confident that they're going to get a deal done here. So, Michael Schwab on the Icebox Insider, we've had him on the show before. He thinks it's going to happen. We'll have to wait and see, but still nothing official. And Kevin's been texting me nervously throughout the day, of course. And as I reminded him, this is always how the Astros do it. They waited till after the deadline in the last Verlander deal. It's just how they do things. There was one thing of note, by the way. I told y'all earlier in the show that Adley Rutschman got traded from the Baltimore Orioles to the Boston Red Sox. I said I didn't know about the prospect haul in return. We now have a piece of that. Anthony Ianson is one of the prospects that's going from Boston back to Baltimore in this deal. So the standout from LSU is switching farm systems from the Red Sox to the Orioles. So Ianson, part of that haul. So Boston does have to give up a prospect that a lot of people are, of course, very high on. When you look at what Anthony Ianson has done to this point in his minor league career, still just 21 years of age. Hard to imagine, that even after his LSU career, he's still that young, but that is the case. He has been pitching in both single A, high A, and double A this year. How about an ERA in single A of 0.44? That's right, he gave up 1 run across 20 and a third innings. The ERA in double A is a 1.69. So Ianson is, of course, one of the highest regarded pitching prospects in baseball right now after he had that huge breakout season on the championship-winning LSU baseball team in 2025. He is a part of the haul that helped the Red Sox land Adley Rutschman. So that is certainly one thing to keep in mind with that deal. But otherwise, we're still waiting to see if anything comes through. The Cubs most recently did get Braxton Garrett, left-handed reliever from the Miami Marlins. On the PGA Tour this week, as I've mentioned before, we've gotten to a point in the schedule. We'll have the FedEx Cup playoffs that begin next week, but these are some, tournaments that maybe don't have all that much intrigue. I had a blast watching the Rocket Classic yesterday afternoon. This tournament ended up being really, really good. There was some rain in the area, so the tee times got pushed back. You're looking at this leaderboard. There's a few big names, but there's a few kind of unknowns, and you're wondering how this thing's going to shape up. You ended up, by the way, with 14 players that finished within 6 shots of the lead, and the same number, 14, were within 4 shots of second. Michael Thorbjornsen is a name that emerges for the first time as a winner on the tour with this one. He is a 24-year-old. He played at Stanford. He's been highly regarded, but this was his 65th start on the PGA Tour and just his first win. He also becomes the second consecutive player on tour to win their first event in back-to-back weeks. We told you about last week how Jackson Koiven, who may be the next big thing, broke through and won. Thorbjornsen, and what he did was, sometimes these guys, when they win their first events, maybe they have a huge lead going into Sunday and they put it in, they just kind of protect and they find a way. Michael Thorbjornsen was sitting at 11 under par going into the final round. He was not leading this event. he had work to do, right? Davis Riley sat at 15 under. He was 4 back with Thorbjornsen going in. Shoots a 33 on the front 9, so 2 under. So he gets to 13 under par. He's just kind of in the mix. And then Thorbjornsen came in at 30. He made 5 birdies and no bogeys on the back 9. Ran down the leaders. At one point, by the way, Xander Schauffele had made 4 birdies in 6 holes, and it's kind of taking control of this tournament. So a multi-time major champion standing in his way, and Thorbjornsen just blows right past him. Had no care in the world, right? Gets past Davis Riley, Rasmus Højgaard, Hideki Matsuyama, who had a run on Sunday, Matt Wallace, Christopher Ventura, all these up-and-comers who are on this board, plus a couple of established, champions on this tour. Cam Young was in the mix, Xander Schauffele, and none of them had anything for Thorbjornsen on a Sunday at the Rocket Classic. It is the last ever Rocket Classic, but just an exciting time on the tour where you're wondering, is the next batch of players starting to take form, and maybe Thorbjornsen is a part of that. There is one more regular season event, by the way. If anyone has not booked their ticket to the FedEx Cup playoffs, they will be in Greensboro, North Carolina to play in the Wyndham Championship. Then the week after, we get the first of the playoff events, which is the FedEx St. Jude Championship. So the golf season getting closer and closer to an end, but for now still has some juice left in it, and we'll see what happens up there at the Wyndham. But it was a really, really good golf tournament, and Thorbjornsen ultimately getting the win, I thought was really fun to watch and fascinating for sure. We've had about 30 minutes, by the way, of pretty much quietness on the prowl here for the trade deadline. We did, by the way, learn, in addition to Ianson, it's actually 5 prospects that the Orioles get back for their catcher. Ianson, Indy Azokar, Kyson Witherspoon, Harold Rivas, and Carlos Narvaez. So a pretty big haul there for the O's. We also find out the Brewers are getting right-hander Dustin May and left-hander Jojo Romero from the Cardinals. That is according to Ken Rosenthal and Will Salmon. But those deals all took place just a little less than a half hour ago. So you've still got 2 hours and change before the deadline. Something tells me we're going to have some sort of deal that goes down before the end of this show. So if there is, I will be sure to tell you. If not, that's okay too. We'll set up after further review and get you ready for the rest of your Monday afternoon. Monday Movers to close out the show. We'll do it after the break. And as I mentioned, any sort of trade deadline stuff we'll get to you as well. This is the LohDown.
This is the LohDown with D-Lo. Live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
The annual Fête du Teche boat procession will be floating down the Bayou Teche on August the 15th, just less than 2 weeks away. Thousands of people come every year to celebrate their faith and their South Louisiana heritage. The day begins with a mass by Bishop J. Douglas Deschantel at St. Leo's Catholic Church in Leonville before dozens of boats depart along the Bayou Teche to St. Martinville, retracing the voyage of the Acadians more than 250 years ago. There are many stops along the way for people to pray and give public witness to their faith. For more information, visit fêtedudeteche.org.
ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Row coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
BB's Auto Sales has been serving Acadiana since 1966. Cleanest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Need financing? No problem. BB's offers easy financing for all credit types, including in-house financing. Plus, they're paying top dollar for your trade. Voted top 3 dealership in Community Choice Awards 2 years in a row. Visit BB's Auto Sales, 2 convenient locations off Johnston Street and in Abbeville. bbsautosales.com. Cleanest cars in Acadiana.
Attention first responders, police officers, firefighters, military and former military personnel. If you have an acre or more of grass to cut, Skag Zero-Turn Mowers would like to thank you by offering you a special discount with their Simply the Brave First Responders program. Save big money on the industry's top-rated zero-turn mower at Nolan's Lawnmower in Carencro. Nolan's can offer well-qualified buyers 0% financing for 48 months. Come by Nolan's Lawnmower at 3547 Northwest Evangeline Thruway and check out the full line of Skag Zero-Turn Lawnmowers.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices. To learn more, visit govote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
Your Honor, I would like to introduce exhibit number 1.
MeTV is America's #1 classic television network.
There can only be one number 1, me.
MeTV features over 60 of the greatest classic TV series each week.
Go with the winner.
Enjoy dramas, comedies, westerns, sci-fi, and more.
You just watch me.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
MeTV is memorable entertainment television.
We are Lions International, the world's largest service organization. We are volunteers committed to strengthening our communities and supporting those in need, one act of kindness at a time. For more than a century, Lions have been serving a world in need, right here in our community and around the world. Lions International makes the impossible possible. This is your invitation to join us, because the only thing missing from our mission to make a difference is you. Visit lionsclubs.org to find a local Lions Club near you.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Monday. Is it really Monday already? Plenty of things in the sports world have been on the move in the past week. Question is, have they been moving up or moving down? D'Lo is here to evaluate. It's time for Monday Movers on the LohDown.
Monday Movers, how we wrap our Monday shows. For sure, one thing that's moving up is the number of players that are getting sent off to new places, finding themselves in new locker rooms. That's because it's the Major League Baseball trade deadline today. But what's moving down is the amount of time teams have to make deals. We are down to 2 hours and 11 minutes. It is a 5 o'clock Central Time trade deadline today. So if you want a deal done, you have to have it submitted to Major League Baseball in the next 2 hours and change. And just while we were in that commercial break, I said I had a feeling there was going to be at least one more deal that goes down while we were on the airwaves. It may not be a massive one, but it is a deal nonetheless. The Chicago Cubs, the Cubs are being aggressive. The Cubbies feel good about what they're doing on the north side right now. They're going out and they're going to get Ryan Zefirjan, a right-handed reliever from the Los Angeles Angels, of course. In the AL West, we know how miserable the Angels have been this year. So people actually surprised. The Angels have this tendency to not sell even when they're bad, but this time around, they actually do make a deal. So good for the Angels for maybe getting something for their capital, but we'll have to wait and see if the big one, Mike Trout, actually ends up happening. Seems like that one probably would have happened at this point if it was going to, but I don't know. When the Cubs got Braxton Garrett earlier in the day, by the way, Ken Rosenthal reports that Jonathan Long and Jace Beck are the return. If those prospects are familiar with you, congrats. I have not heard of them. But let's get back to Monday Movers. What's also moving up is the number of players on Jay Johnson's college baseball roster for the LSU Tigers. That is because we got word over the weekend that Logan Schmidt is actually going to Baton Rouge. High draft pick, signed with LSU, or committed to LSU, I guess is the proper way to say it. No one thought he was actually going to get there, even after he got drafted and then kind of they couldn't come together on a deal. A lot of people thought, well, he's probably going to want to enter the draft after next year, so the only way to do that, remember, if you go to a Division I college baseball program, you have to stay for 3 years or until you turn a certain age, is the age eligibility requirements. If you go to JUCO, you can re-enter the draft every year. So everybody goes, well, he's so talented, he's going to get drafted so high, he's probably just going to go to JUCO. I would imagine this has to do maybe with the way that the world works now with players being able to be compensated and NIL deals, things of that nature. I don't know any of that for sure. But Logan Schmidt's going to make it to campus. And so LSU, what felt like an already loaded recruiting class, gets a little bit better. That is significant for them. And there are going to be no shortage of expectations in Baton Rouge come the spring, but of course come fall ball before that when these players get out there and have a chance to get going with practices. And we'll close it with this. What's also moving down on a Monday are the number of days before we get the official start of football season underway. We are less than 5 days away from the Hall of Fame game, which is going to be kind of, it always is that unofficial kickoff to football. with Kenny Pickett playing quarterback, there can be arguments to be made as to whether or not it's real football or not. Just kidding. Sorry. Joke on Kenny Pickett there. I did, by the way, get a live update from our guy James Mesh that my favorite NFL backup quarterback, Zach Wilson, didn't quite have his best day at camp, but it is Zach Wilson's birthday today. So you know what? Jordy's usually the one who gives happy birthday wishes. Can I wish my guy Zach Wilson a happy birthday? I'm rooting for him to win the backup job. I think we'd all be better for it. I will make my weekly reminder for those of you who are unfamiliar with what Zach Wilson once was to go watch that season of BYU tape from 2020. It was unbelievable. The throws, I've still never seen ball placement like that. Hasn't quite worked out for him at the next level, but we shall see. Oh, by the way, honorable mention on Monday Movers here. What's also moving up are, unfortunately, the number of players that are going to be out for the season in the National Football League. Ricky Pearsall added to the list. We already have Brian Brzee there. Jalen Polk retires, so I guess put him in that category as well. It is one of the unfortunate things that goes along with the start of every NFL training camp is the uptick in injuries. And, some of them probably are avoidable. I think there's probably debates on how many of them are. Sometimes, like when these guys are elite athletes, but they're also really big and putting a lot of stress on their bodies. And if some of them, maybe they do take great care of themselves in the offseason, but maybe some of them go, hey, I'll catch up. I'll get in shape during camp. You're going to see some of these. You're going to hear some reports about it. You just hope the number's as little as possible. And, of course, if it's your team, you hope it's as close to zero as it can be. But that's not necessarily the nature of it. And it's only going to go up from here. So we'll see if players can do their best to stay healthy during the dog days of summer as August has arrived. And we will see if that ends up being the case. One last check. I was giving Jeff Passan one more chance to give me an update and see if the Astros are going to make a move before I sign off. It looks like that's not to be. I've checked with him. I've checked with Ken Rosenthal. I've checked with Will Salmon. I'm not seeing anything new. So I'm going to go ahead and safely assume that as of now, the Astros are still working out the particulars. They did call up Bryce Mayer to AAA Sugarland this morning. Chandler Rome was on that for The Athletic. He is a highly touted prospect that they're excited about, but I don't know if he's going to help the Stros in the year of 2026. That one might be down the road a little bit later on. Our poll question of the day, we were asking you if what the Dodgers are doing right now is good or bad for the game of baseball. The final results, at least while we're live on the air today, have the Dodgers being bad for the sport with 67% of the vote. 29% don't have a strong opinion on it. Just 4% of you out there think they are good for it. Ralph says not a fan of the Punks, but they're playing within the rules. That is true. Ton says they're merely doing what the Yanks and Mets have done for years. Kai says they're bad. Come on, man. JBK says it's not about the Dodgers. They are a symptom of the problem. Dave says if you can't beat them, join them. And Who Dat Forever says they are definitely, let's see, he says everyone knows that players are just going to sign with them in 4 months. It's not fun to offer your top prospects. I get it. I understand where you're coming from if you think they are bad for the sport. Okay, I want to thank our guests here this afternoon, getting it rolling on another Monday edition of the show. John Sokoloff, WGNO, hopping on to chat New Orleans Saints and the beginnings of training camp, getting all the news and the buzz out there. Appreciate him for doing so. Look forward to talking with John more as the football season continues on. Then it was Jay Walker getting us caught back up on all things Raging Cajuns related. I appreciate him for giving some insight on what he values as UL looks for a new athletic director. As he mentioned, and I think I'd probably fully agree with him, it's probably going to be a while before that hire gets made. Trey Frazier's the interim AD, and we'll see what kind of job he can do in the meantime. But Cajuns got to get geared up and ready to roll. Football season is going to start whether they have an AD in place ready to roll or not, right? That's just the nature of it. And with all that being said, as I mentioned, it's going to be a little bit of a unique week with us, but we will have shows for you. The LohDown is off on Wednesday because of Astros daytime baseball. We've got the Stros now, as I mentioned, hot as can be. They'll be going for the series. Well, they'll be playing in the series finale against the Blue Jays on that day. So no LohDown on Wednesday, but we'll have shows for you on Tuesday, Thursday, and then we've got our big time special on Friday that we are excited for as well. You may have also heard, I did want to just say thank you to those who reached out We talked about it with RP3. I am now taking over as the program director for this station. RP3's show isn't going anywhere. As a matter of fact, our local lineup's going to remain unchanged. But excited to be in this new position, thanks to Delta Media, to our GM, Johnette Cochran, and looking forward to the future. So RP3 is going to be our operations manager here, and I will be in charge of the programming here on ESPN 103.7 in Lafayette, 104.1 in Lake Charles. So thank you if you're a listener already. If you tuned in today, we appreciate it. We'd love to have you back. As we mentioned before, available not only on those radio frequencies, also on our mobile app and streaming live every day on YouTube. That's it for us here this afternoon. AFR, Matt Moscona is up next. You're listening to ESPN Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
Before hitting the road, get hooked up at Matt's Trailers on Bertrand Drive. Everything you need from truck equipment, accessories, and trailer parts